Welcome back to The Company Move, where we explore what life outside the film and television industry could look like by talking to folks who have made the leap. I'm your host, Rennie Pollack, a union camera assistant living and working in Chicago, Illinois. I'll be learning and growing along with you. It's season 2, y'all. Company's on the move. Hi, Company Movers. We have a great show for you today. I think you may notice me being a little quieter than usual, and I think that's because my guest hits on some topics that really hit home. Specifically, says something about, sometimes the industry retires you before you're ready. I don't think that's what's happening to me right now, but it feels a little bit like that. And I've been doing this a long time, and these past 3 years especially have been so hard for those of us not on full-time shows. It really has kind of messed with my self-esteem and self-worth, and Chris really touches on that a lot. So I think I was a little bit like in my head while we were chatting, but it's still a really great conversation. I don't know what else to say, but we kind of get real. And I think that's an important conversation. So here we go. Chris Friebus grew up fascinated by how movies and television shows were made, hoping to one day work on them as an actor. He received a degree in acting from CAl State Fullerton, but instead found himself with a 22-year career as a camera assistant. A serious injury, followed quickly by a pandemic, put an end to his career in motion pictures. Chris pivoted to a second career with the Walt Disney Company, where he, for the last 5 years, has been a lead, a trainer, and a photographer for the Disneyland Resorts. Despite knowing how the sausage gets made, Chris is still obsessed with consuming movies and television. He also hosts the Blockade Pinball podcast, talking at know-it-all length about his other favorite hobby. Somehow his wife and son put up with this. Chris Friebus, welcome to Company Move.
Glad to be here.
You have such a voice for radio. I'm so excited.
No.
Chris,
anybody need any voice actors out there? Yeah.
Yeah, right? Can you tell me a little bit about what was your job in film? Like, how did you get the job that you had? And yeah, just a little bit about that.
Okay, let the therapy session begin.
Yes.
So I was a camera assistant for 22 years.
22, it was that long?
22 years, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I went to school to be an actor. Promptly didn't do anything with that. But my final, I don't know if it was my final semester, but it was my final year, we did a thing called acting for the camera. And if you weren't on camera, then you were the crew. And we were broken up into little groups of 7 or 8 people. And I quickly became the person that was either the camera, well, I was camera operator on almost all of our shorts. And then I also became editor on all of our shorts, just because I really enjoyed sitting there, going through footage and creating something that wasn't what we recorded. And so I quickly in my head got it as an idea of, oh, well, while I'm trying to do this acting thing, maybe a backdoor in would be still to work in the industry. And so it was like, well, I can be an editor or I can be a camera operator. I like both. I didn't know anybody, though, that was an editor. And I did know somebody that was a camera assistant. And they had suggested, oh, well, Panavision Hollywood, they have this thing called a 2-year program. You get brought in, you do shipping and receiving for 1 year, you do prep floor for the 2nd year. By the end, you know absolutely all the equipment, and you've met all these ACs, and then you can become an AC. I was like, okay, that's an in. So I did the deal at Panavision for the 2 years, and probably the final weeks I was there, I prepped for a show that they were doing camera tests on the stage, and then I left 2 weeks later. It was like, congratulations, you graduated. Go be out in the world and do a thing. And that AC came back to now prep their actual show, and they requested me, and they were like, no, he's left, he's gone. And they were like, oh, really? Oh, okay. I get a phone call. Hey, do you want to come out and work on this show?
That's awesome.
And I'm like, but I'm not union. And they were like, I have a way of getting you in. You just have to be 30 days on set I'm gonna have you just, run the monitor back and forth, but in the meantime, you'll learn all the set etiquette and all that stuff. And I was like, okay, let's do that. That AC, by the way, is now president of the union. Uh,
Was Baird?
yeah.
Oh, wow. Cool.
Um,
I thought Baird was a DIT. Oh, no, he was a first AC.
he was
He was a
first
first
AC.
AC.
Yeah.
Yeah, his son is a DIT.
Yeah. Yeah. And so it was like I learned a ton on that job. So much more. My very first job while I was working at Panavision, I actually took it. I got paid in a signed t-shirt because it was for South Park. They were doing the Mr. Hanky live action commercial that's in the middle of the episode.
Fun.
And that was my first job ever.
That's
And
so cool.
I was so green. I had both cloth and paper tape hanging from my belt and, just like was kitted out and just like, this is so unmanageable to work with. Um, and the funny thing is that working with Baird, his whole thing was if I ask you for something, you better have it on you. Even so, tape measure and all the things that a first would need. I had all that, and I had all the things the second need, and I had all the things the loader would need. It was just like massive belt that through the years I learned how to pare down into like one little tiny pouch. um,
Me too.
yeah, but no, so yeah, I worked on the movie with Mod Squad. I worked on that, and then I thought, oh, this is great. I've first AC that's very successful. I'm just gonna rattle along. This will be awesome. Movie ends, and Baird was basically just like, okay, well, I got you in the union. Now go do something with it. Bye. And I didn't work another union job for a year and a half.
That's
Um,
the hardest thing when you think that you found your first or your person, and then they
hmm
like hire somebody else, and you're like, oh, okay, I guess I was just, who was available at that time. Of course, where are you from? Where did you start? Where did you go to school?
Cal State Fullerton.
Are you from California?
Hmm.
You grew up there?
Yeah, born and raised in the area. Yeah, SoCal.
Nice.
Um, so but I didn't. I grew up very far away from Hollywood. Like I'm 30, grew up what 30 miles from LA proper. So nobody was in the business where I grew up.
Yeah, no
Um,
family members. You're
no family members
not
or
a
nothing.
legacy.
No, no, no. So that was definitely not not a thing. Um, and it was like I said, my brother-in-law was a camera assistant, so that was kind of the hey, I've done it. Is this something that would interest you? He brought me onto a set one day. I absolutely adored being there.
Mm,
I like the energy. I like the vibe.
yeah.
I didn't get bored. All the how it's all getting made and all the creative processes, that was always fascinating to me. I'm one of those people that back in the day with laser discs and then the early days of DVD, whenever there was all that behind the scenes footage, and all the director commentary, I would consume all of it. That was the Terminator 2 Laserdisc was literally my film school.
Oh, that's awesome.
I mean, because it was so technical. There was a whole section on the ground glass that they chose. Um,
Nerding out.
total nerding out, and I was all for it. So, but yeah, I was in music video hell for a while.
Mm.
We called it Master P World because it was all rap videos for Master P's No Limit Records. Um, and did that for a long time, and then suddenly movies kicked in, and I was being a loader on movies, and that was great. Um, but my problem, I never had a first. I never had that
Me neither.
person.
Me
I was
neither. Yeah.
always the second call.
Yeah.
My guy's sick. Can you come in? That was always the deal. I never had the first that would just take me along the way. And every time
Right.
I thought that I was close to it, something would happen that, in their life that just like, nope, they're not working now for a while. Great.
Right. No, I totally it kind of gives me a little bit of like I feel a little bit better knowing that I'm not the only one. But I used to think of that as like, oh, there's something wrong with me. Like I haven't found my person to be, but I also got to meet so many different people, work on so many different sets. So it was actually kind of like a positive as well.
Yeah, I mean, I hated the uncertainty.
Yes.
That was the thing that just killed me. And the worst things I could ever hear on a show was, "So what are you going to do after this?" And I'd be like, "I have no clue.
Yeah. What's your next project?
I don't know." I was I was on a movie with it was with Ed Harris, Annette Bening, and Robin Williams. I'm so thankful that I got to work with Robin.
Oh, how
So thankful.
lovely.
They always say don't meet your heroes or whatever. And he's an improv hero to me. And here we are on this drama, and I was so just like, oh man, I'm not going to get to see the Robin that I want to see. And no, he was everything and absolutely more. And I was just so thrilled. Um, I just had a wonderful experience with him. But Ed Harris, complete, just like isolated, boxed. You don't talk to Ed. He's in his world. And I was like, fine, I can absolutely respect that. Annette was kind of the in between. If she was prepping for her scene, don't talk to her. If she wasn't, she was more than happy to talk to you. So anyway, we get to the end of the shoot. It's, hey, that's a wrap on Ed. Suddenly he's a different person. All smiles and grins and happy, comes walking up to me. So Chris, what are you doing after this? And in my head, I'm like, he actually knows my name. We haven't said two words to each other, but then also that immediate, and I got nothing. It was just like hated that sinking feeling of that. Um, and the same thing was uh, TV shows. It was always, okay, that's a wrap on this season. Are we gonna get to do the next season?
Yeah, you never know.
Am I going to get that invite? I don't know. Meanwhile, I've got other people that were, oh, I've been on this show for 10 years
Yeah.
and they're
Well, now in Chicago,
complaining.
I'm in Chicago, and there's all the Dick Wolf shows. There's the Chicago PD
Yeah.
Fire and Med,
Yeah.
and some of the guys on those shows have never worked on anything else.
Hmm.
Like they've only, I mean, maybe they've done like commercials here and there, but they've never worked on other shows. It's always been Fire or PD or Med, and they move up from within. So even though I have 10 to 12 years experience, I'm not going to get a position on those shows.
Do you hear I really should leave this show because I'm getting boxed in and nobody knows who I am outside of this?
Not now. Not right
No,
now.
not right
Not
now.
right now. No. Everyone, I think they all know they're really lucky. But they still are complaining. But I also they played on PD and they're getting peeled. Like they're shooting like
Hmm.
13-hour days outside in the freezing
Hmm.
cold, like constant stunts. Like they're
Yeah.
tired.
Yeah.
But I'm also like, take a fucking day off and give us some days.
Well, I was on a show where all of a sudden it was hey, we're gonna have to start working 6 days. I'm like, I don't want to work the 6 day. That's blood money pay. It's like $200 extra on your paycheck. That's it. Everything else is just
Right.
yanked out in taxes. I'm like, why don't we let people that are dying for work actually
Have
have the
that
show?
day.
And
Yeah.
this one DP, it was like, well, I have to be here, so why shouldn't you? I was like, because it's your look. You're getting paid so much more.
I know. I think that also a lot of the old school folks are starting to retire, and the new school thought is much more work-life balance oriented,
Well,
much
that's
more
nice.
like take some days off, like go to the doctor, like go live your life. All right, so this can't just be a bitch session. We have to keep
Yes,
going. What
right.
so when Chris did you decide, hey, I might need to find an alternative, I might need to get out of this.
2007 writer
The
strike.
2007 writer strike.
Yeah, because all of a sudden, poof, there goes all the work.
Mhm.
And I'm sitting around at home going, what am I capable of doing? This is my career. What am I, what's even potentially out there? And I was terrified because I had no clue, did not know. I'm calling up other ACs just, to commiserate. They don't know. We're all just like, what are we even qualified to do? Um, that was the first time that it put it on my mind. When the strike ended, uh, all the film loading jobs were gone because everybody transitioned to digital in that. I mean, literally, it was something like of the 85 TV shows that were in production in LA, 78 of them or something like that switched to digital just overnight. Um, and so suddenly it was all of my day playing work as a loader was gone. It was like, I guess you got to be a second AC. You got to pump and get into that. Um, and that started my long nightmare of day playing hell. Just day play, day play, day play. And I mean, when you could get on, become the main call for a show, that was great because then I
Right.
was, getting 3 days a week out of it, which
That's the
is,
dream, is to be able to work 3 days a week.
it is. I mean, seriously, because it's enough money and you have all this time off.
And then you get the daily rate, which is more than what the weekly rate is. So you're actually probably getting paid just as much.
The bummer of it, though, was like I got called to go do a show, a day play down in San Diego. Yeah, I would drive. I went, did that 17-hour day, but I'd already booked another show the next day.
Yeah.
Drive, I get an hour of sleep, I go to set, let's go. Because I didn't want to
Yeah.
turn down the work because it was just like I need to have all these balls up in the air and juggle them.
Right.
I don't because in a lot of ways I always felt that there was a three-strike rule. It's you turn them down once, hey, it's understandable. You turn them down a second time, well, I thought you said you were available. Turn down third time, they're never calling you again.
Yeah. Yeah. You're off the list. So you got to make it work.
Yeah,
It's kind of,
yeah.
it's such a juggling act.
So that was when I don't know if it would necessarily I started thinking about what I would do elsewhere, but it was I need to step up and start taking where do I want to go in this career? Because I'm not going to be a second AC the entire time. That's just not tenable. And so and I'd gotten a really bad piece of advice very early on, which was stay in that position as long as you can. You'll know when it's time to move on because they're just going to kick you, pull you into it. Well, that works well if you're like your guys on these Dick Wolf shows, living in the show, and they were just like, hey, it's time for you to, let's pop you on C
Hmm.
camera. Hey, you're doing so good. We're going to pop you on B camera. And yeah, people are retiring out and everything. That's great. As a day player, it doesn't work that way.
No, you don't get to practice.
No, no. So I literally started whatever loading jobs were being offered. I was like, no, I'm not a loader anymore. I am only a second AC. And trying desperately to find that person that I could be their call. But it was also, there was that whole shift in production where all of a sudden production was the one doing the hiring. It wasn't letting the first AC or the operator pick. It was, no, we like this person, we like this person, we're going to meld you together and
Mm.
see what happens. Um, so I started knowing that you got to drop back down to the bottom. I started trying to pick up first AC jobs on low budget, minuscule things. Um, I wound up doing a show that had every red flag in the book, which was it's a flat rate. You're going to be gone for 2 weeks. You're traveling up to Central California, uh, and we have no way of getting you home because you're going to be put into a Winnebago or the follow truck that's hauling a U-Haul, and we're going cross country on a road trip all the way to Nashville, filming all the way along. So you either commit now or you say no because we have no way of getting you home. Oh, you're going to be sharing a hotel room, and
Oh,
uh,
such a red flag. Like, I'm a grown ass woman. I'm not sleeping with another person.
every red flag you can think of in the book was just pinging, but I had nothing else going on. And I
Mhm.
was just like, whatever, it's a firsting opportunity. Let's go and do it. Turned out to be one of the most fun experiences I've ever had.
Oh,
Uh,
that's great.
Director was driving the Winnebago. He became dad. He'd be like, hey, ball of twine. Who wants to stop? Yeah, let's go. Okay, we're pulling over. Yeah, let's shoot the scene here. Why not? And it was
Oh,
like,
that's fun.
oh, it was so much fun. It was so that kind of let me go, hey, be open to a little more, fewer opportunities. That opportunity, because of the DP that was on that, his next movie that he did, he hired me to be the first, and he was going to be the operator also. But I'm like, you can't be. Oh, and he was the director. Within 6 hours,
It doesn't work.
and what I'm pulling focus on are still photography lenses. So
Whew. The depth
the
of field on those are really tight. It's really hard to pull
not
focus
only
on
that, but
those.
like the difference between 10 feet and 2 feet is literally like an eighth of an inch twist.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know,
If you don't have like tiny baby fingers, it doesn't work.
no, 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 it's not gonna work. And so literally within 6 hours, I told him, I go, can I just be the operator? Because I go, I can pull the focus, I can lean in, back off, and do this. Just let me be the operator on this. And that way you can focus on your directing and you can focus on DPing and everything else that needs to be, because this was, again, micro budget. Um, and I'm rather proud of the work that I did on it. It's a tiny movie called Looking for Lions. And we were doing, because of coverage, we didn't have the budget to do coverage. So everything became oneers. And I learned how to do that dance and how to help craft the scene. And I love composition. So I had a good time just trying to compose and avoid shadows and avoid wires and all this stuff and while moving
Nice.
around
Nice.
and we kind of filmed in order. And so there's a scene right near the top of the movie that is very a long thing, and I watch it and I kind of cringe. I'm like, ooh, oh, that's not good. But then the operating gets progressively better as the movie goes, winding up in this like 7 or 8 minute long oneer that's a very climactic point of the movie that we spent the entirety of the day blocking and getting down and I watched that and I'm like, yeah, nailed it. Got it. That was
Nice.
great.
That's awesome.
But then, but the problem with that operating was, again, do you want to start from ground zero? How do you become an operator? Oh, there's an easy way. Buy a Steadicam rig. Easy in that you're going to now have to mortgage your house in order to pay the 80, $90,000 to have it. I wasn't going to do that.
Right.
Um, uh, or do you want to just be a first AC? That's a lot of stress. You have to also have a DP that's willing to always hire you. I didn't have one of those yet. I was trying. There was a couple that kept on, we were trying to arrange and make it happen. I just couldn't make it happen. And so that was where it was just like, oh, what's going on? And then I finally got on another show for an entire season. And then that show, while that was on hiatus, I got a call for what I call the final show of my career. Um, it wasn't really, but it was virtually it. It was this HBO show that I worked with Rennie on
That's where we met. Yeah,
up
on Here and Now.
in Oregon, yeah. And I wound up getting injured on that carrying a Steadicam.
Wait, it was on that show that you got injured?
Hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
So this was in what, like 2013?
No, 2017.
It was that. Oh, it was that late. Okay. I was like, wait, that's right. I just
2017.
started in 2013.
Yeah.
But yeah, 2017, I was still working as a local in Oregon, so I was going back and forth between California and Oregon, and they called me.
Yeah, and we were coming up to Oregon once a month for a week to film because the show took place in Oregon.
Holly
Um,
Hunter, Tim Robbins,
hmm.
Sosie Bacon,
Yeah, and it was the creator was the guy that did 6 Feet Under.
Alan Ball.
Alan Ball. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
we were filming in a gym with steel-edged stairs, and it was in between setups, or they were on the second floor filming, and it was that that hurry up, gotta go, gotta go, gotta go, and it was like, Chris, just slap the slate, go down while we're filming, grab the rig, bring it up here because we're gonna need it. And so I had the arm in one hand and the sled in the other, and I'm going up the steps, and I start losing my balance,
Mm.
and it's pulling me forward, and I'm thinking, oh, I'll just just kind of take a knee and turn. And I put my knee straight into the staircase, severed my patellar tendon, and was out for 6 months.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
when there's physical injuries you just can't work. Like if that we're always afraid to hurt ourselves. If I know I wouldn't go like ice skating or skiing because I would be afraid that I was gonna break something.
You always hear people say, "Don't hurt yourself, hurt the equipment." And I really, to this day, wish that I had just dropped that Steadicam rig, especially because of the operator who never once bothered checking in on me afterwards. Instead, was mad that apparently I put a scratch in his rig.
Oof,
Yeah,
narcissism is
just
rampant
a
in our industry.
yeah. So folks, just drop the equipment.
Yeah. I mean, there's
Um,
also I tripped and fell and at one point I was, carrying a lens and I tripped and fell and that lens went doo 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 doo
hmm.
doo doo. That lens was a Panavision housed 50 mil. It was fine. It did nothing happened
Yeah,
to it. It didn't even crack. And I like everyone on the crew came to find out if I was okay. Every single camera person went to go check on the
check on the lens.
lens, and then I was never hired again by that
Mhm.
DP.
Of course not.
Like,
Of course not.
so drop the equipment if you don't want to work with those
Well, and
people,
so,
man.
and this is why I say it was kind of the end of the career because when I had finally recovered and recovered loosely, because I couldn't, although I could walk, I didn't have the strength in my knee to make it up the camera truck staircase without using both hands on the railing.
Oh man.
And my knee would just randomly give out based off of what the texture of the ground was, because I was still learning how to take impact. It's only been, like I said, that was late 2017. Last year was the first time I was ever able to actually run for any, like for 20 yards,
Wow.
because I just couldn't take the impact on it. So when I came back to do some day playing, I remember I was carrying a lens and my knee started to give, and I corrected myself, but the entire camera department saw it and they didn't trust me. And so I didn't then get called back on that. That was
Mm.
kind of, that was definitely the downfall. Um, hold on, let's see. Oh, yeah. Um, my wife's coming in with notes and being like, make sure you say this too. The positive of the knee injury was my son wound up having to have rather invasive surgery while I was injured that was going to cost very exceedingly large amounts of money that we would have never been able to pay for. But because I hadn't worked, I hadn't had an income in 6 months, the whole thing got covered 100% by the hospital. Not by our insurance, but by the hospital for
Oh, because your income was low enough that
mhm,
oh
mhm.
wow. I mean, silver linings.
Complete blessing in disguise, but yeah. Um but yeah, that was basically the I just started not getting as many phone calls. Um because it was obvious that I couldn't do, because silly me, what I really should have done, I should have filed an accident lawsuit and taken a nice big fat paycheck.
Yeah.
But I was like, no, this is my career. I still want to do this. I don't want to get blackballed. Yeah, silly me. Um,
You got workers' comp though, right?
I
Because
got
it
workers'
happened on
comp.
set and like
Yes. Yeah.
disability in California is pretty good. I had shoulder surgery and went on disability and it was pretty great.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it was pretty good, but it's good for the moment. It does,
Right.
it doesn't repair as a day player. If you're out of the picture for, by the time I was recovered, then it was hiatus. So it wound up being about 9 months of me not working with anybody. Well, you've now tumbled down the list,
Hmm.
of who's gonna call. And on top of that, because of what was that, and then COVID hit real soon after,
Right.
um, I hadn't qualified enough hours in 2 years, and I get a message from Pension and Health saying, "So we're freezing your pension at this point for what you can earn, or it's not going to continue growing. This is now just going to be frozen. Any future work you do, though, will be now part of a new pension." And that was
Well,
such a gut kick, such a complete
after
gut kick.
how many years were you in the union? Was it
22
22?
years, 22 years in the union, but I didn't qualify every single time, right? So
Okay.
technically, according to the union, I was 17.
Okay.
But if you go that long of a stretch without having enough qualifying hours,
Hmm.
that's when the pension goes, "Oh, apparently you're not working much here, so yeah, we're just going to freeze that portion for you. It will never grow any further." And
Wow.
that was literally when it was just like, I need something else. I need to really have a good backup plan.
Yeah. So
Um,
what did you do? What?
I was going on Craigslist, I was going on Indeed and ZipRecruiter, just anything camera related. If it had a camera, let me know.
Hmm.
Craigslist was always provide your own camera. I'm like, no, screw you. This isn't.
Right, right.
Wait, provide my own equipment and you'll pay me $100 a day? Wow, thanks.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, and
yeah. And
uh,
your own insurance.
right. And so I see this notification pop up for photographer at Disneyland. Now, the last place in the world I wanted to work was a theme park. And I didn't, I'm like, I am not the Disney personality. I don't want to drink that Kool-Aid. Um, I just was like, no, but then I was like, but so what? You're holding a camera. At least you're doing something creative. Sure, why not? Let's apply for that. And I got it, and within 3 days, it was like, what's this feeling that I have? I've got guests coming up to me and complimenting me on the photos 2 hours after I've taken them. Like they seek me out and be like, thank you so much. This was really good. Nobody's yelling at me for being, in their crosshairs when they were in a bad mood. Um, I was felt respected. It was only an 8 hour day. Shoot, it wasn't even that because I was part-time, so usually it was like a 6 hour day. Yeah. Um, it was just like all the things that I wasn't getting on a set in terms of recognition and fulfillment was starting to tumble in. Within 2 weeks of doing it, it was, oh no, I really like this. um, what's going on? And I was trying to do both. I was still picking up AC jobs, still doing this because, again, it was very much part-time. I was only getting scheduled maybe 3 days a week at Disneyland. I didn't let anybody know I was working at Disneyland because I was afraid that if they heard I was doing another job, they wouldn't call me. Um, but then what started happening was getting that 6 a.m. call. Hey, can you come in today? I'm like, no, I've already got this today. And it was bouncing that I got the
Yeah, you
job
have
that
to say
is,
I'm booked already.
yeah, yeah. And that, which I was doing, but it was like, look, Disney's giving me consistent work. I'm not going to sacrifice this consistent work for 2 days with you and then all of a sudden be like, oh, and you lost your job at Disney. I was trying to do that balance between working Disney, working a show, and it literally got to one point where I had a show call me and they go, "Hey, would you mind being camera utility?" Which is like started giving me hives right off the bat. Um, because our utility right now is going out on maternity leave. And so it's 6 weeks, and then that's the end of the show. I
Which
can't
would be
take,
a nice paycheck because camera utility is higher than a second AC.
no.
Camera utility is. Digital utility is
Okay, digital,
less, but
it was digital
okay.
utility then. It was digital utility. It was essentially, the loader, the running back and
Hmm.
forth. Um,
Loaders now actually make more than second ACs.
yeah, I know.
As they should. They're doing a lot.
Right?
But
But in my head, it was, wait, so I'm gonna have to quit working at Disney to work 6 weeks on your show that then is gonna go on. That's the end of that season, and it's a streamer show, so who knows when they're gonna film, or even if they're guaranteed another season after that,
and the person on maternity leave is going to be the one that's back
and
next
they're gonna be
season.
the one that's back.
Yeah.
So made that decision. My wife is furious at me because all she's seeing is how much money that would be. Good decision in the end because that was in November. COVID shutdown was in March.
Wow.
Disney paid us all the way until June.
That's lovely.
Yeah. Um, and then they
But when
fired
did
us.
they open back up again? Oh,
Um,
then they fired
and
you?
then
Is
they
that what you
fired
said?
us. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. They didn't open back up until they were closed an entire year. So they kind of opened back up in like March, where they were letting people just into the park, but um, there was no meet and greets, there was no rides that you could go on. It was just letting people stroll around.
Yeah.
I didn't get hired back for that. I didn't get hired back until basically a year and a half later. But in that entire time, I think about what happened in the film industry because of all the COVID testing. You had to go in 2 days early to get your COVID test. And then half the time they would cancel that unit that you were going to be going in on. And so then they wound up just hiring, at least in LA, they did a full-time sea crew so that they would just be at the ready to go. Again, I didn't get on that, and so I was like, there's no day playing. I wound up being a substitute teacher for an entire year.
Oh, wow.
As a full-time sub, like I was going in daily to this school and working, and I hated every moment of it. Um, it was just like pure misery. Um, and I finally started getting consistent calls from a first to be doing commercials, and as with a former huge name DP, but now he was the director. But it was like, oh, this is going to be good. This is going to be great. And then I get the call, hey, Disney, we want you back. Okay, fine. I can balance these because I knew what the schedule of the commercials was. I was like, no, this will work. This will be great. Literally, my first day back, mandatory, cannot call out, getting training. I get a phone call from this guy. Hey, I'm in out of state on this movie. They need us for at least the next 2 weeks. Are you available?
Mm.
I'm like, no, can I wait 3 days and come out? I just need to finish these 3 days of coming back in,
Mandatory training. Yeah.
mandatory training, so that I can still have this guaranteed job and then this other bit. And he was like, oh no, never called me again.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I will say, as a day player during COVID, it was pretty great because if I were day playing on three different projects, I
Hmm.
would have to go get tested for three different projects, and sometimes that would be all be on the same day,
Oh,
and it was
nice.
150 bucks
Yeah.
a test, so I would get paid, sometimes close to $500 just to go get a swab up my nose three times. Um, yeah, I kind of miss the days of getting that little
Yeah.
extra on top, but those days are gone. Okay, I want to back up just a
Yeah.
little bit. Can you tell me a little bit about your job search process? Like when you were looking for these jobs on Craigslist, like how did you have a resume built?
I didn't.
Um,
I
no.
didn't know I'm like, I didn't have a clue as to what a resume would even look like for somebody that worked in the film industry.
Mhm.
I had no idea. I literally had just typed in anything related to camera, anything related to writing. I wanted to keep my toes firmly dipped into that world. And just, again, nothing triggered. There was something that it was a writing gig where it was you're basically writing reviews for things online, but it was such a scam because
I get all those now.
yeah,
Data entry and
because it literally was you're not getting the product. They just give
right.
you a summary of the product, and now you're supposed to write this review.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
so
yeah.
I would write my review and trying to write in a way that I wasn't showing that I hadn't had the product or whatever. And then you'd submit it, and then they'd submit back going, well, you need to change this, you need to change this, because I didn't have, now I have a better idea of what we should put on our resumes as camera assistants. But at the time, I didn't. I really didn't.
Okay. When you were applying for these jobs, were there just applications that you were filling out? You weren't sending in resumes,
No, it was more like, what's your experience? And I would, give them a link to IMDb. Um,
which,
that was
was sufficient for getting jobs in the industry for sure.
right, and that's what I was thinking. Um, yeah,
So what was your job interview process like with Disney?
that was interesting because um, I never shot stills, and so all my information was based off of motion picture, and so the interview, it was like, yeah, I've got all this experience with framing and motion pictures, and I understand composition. Again, that was the only reason why I wanted to be an operator, was because I liked
Hmm.
that. Um, and one of the questions I got asked was, okay, so what ISO would you use, shooting out in the daylight? And I'd just been on a show where we were shooting at 500 ISO and uh, whatever white balance. And so I just regurgitated those numbers. And they were like, oh, well, because we shoot at 200 ISO and a shutter of this. And I was just like, I go, well, and that's when I went into my spiel of, depending on what show I go on, it's completely different. I can be on this show and we're shooting on this settings with this camera, and then I go the next day over to this show and it's a completely different camera system. And I
Mhm.
go, give me 2 hours and I will be up to speed on how your crew works, what that camera is. Just give me that space and I'll be able to do it. And I think that was what the confidence and the fact that I could spout other numbers and other concepts, knowing that was enough for them to be like, yes, okay, fine, we'll bring you in. Um, the other thing was is that at that time they wanted you to shoot the Disney way. They didn't necessarily want you to shoot your way and your
Mm.
settings because they have a look that they want consistent among all the photographers.
That's such a trick question then. If
It
it's like,
is.
what, just tell me what I'll shoot whatever you tell me to shoot it at.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But I think it was more about just finding out, is this a completely foreign concept to you, talking about shutters and ISOs and
Yeah, yeah, yeah. They
white
just want to
balance and
make
all
sure you
that?
knew the language.
Yeah, do you know the language?
Mm,
So
cool. So during after COVID, how did they call you back?
it literally was, if you knew your seniority in the hiring of when you got hired, I literally was going, wait, okay, I know that guy got hired 2 months before me. And I'm calling him up. Hey, did you get the phone call yet to come back? And they're like, yeah, I just got today. Great. That means in probably about 2 weeks, I should be expecting a phone call too.
Mm-hmm.
And they literally
Mm-hmm.
were just like, do you want your job back? Yes. Great. This is the date you're coming back to do, to come back to this. What I've discovered, because I'd never worked for a large corporation before, and this is a completely different mindset than film sets. Corporate is very much seniority based, and they got to keep things equal and fair. And so it literally
Mm-hmm.
does become, we hired you first, so you're going to get the offer first. If you turn us down, we move to the next person, and the next person, and just goes down the rank that way.
Um, what do you think some of your biggest like hurdles and challenges were? I feel like you've talked a little bit about this, um, about knowing when to decide to stay or leave or tell people that that you're full time somewhere else.
I think about that I had such pride in being a camera assistant, and I really um liked that exclusive nature. Our job is such a mystery. What is it you do? And you'd be like, well, yeah, I clap sticks, I put tape on the ground, but I also do all this other stuff.
Yeah,
And
it's more than that.
I get to go to locations that nobody else ever gets to go to, and I get to see things that nobody else gets to see, and interact with people that nobody else gets to interact with, and there's this exclusivity and this pride of what it was, and having to basically humble myself and be like, you know what, that isn't the end all. This Nobody else cares. You care, but nobody else really cares. And what they're doing is equally valid. And it was trying to get my head wrapped around that. But the biggest hurdle was literally me admitting defeat and going, the industry is done with me. I didn't, again, even after while I was being a substitute teacher, I didn't let people know that I was that. It was just nobody was texting me. I'd put out, hey, I'm available, whatever, but I wasn't getting responses. And then when I went back to Disney, I didn't let anybody know. I kept it a secret, and I wasn't getting the calls. And I
Hmm.
had an assistant tell me one time, he goes, in our industry, sometimes you'll get retired before you know that you're retired.
Yeah.
And that really rang home, where it was just like, yeah, they might be done with me. And I noticed that there was a lot of new people coming in and were immediately being first or immediately being DPs. I was looking at film credits going, I don't know a single person that's in this list, and this was shot in LA. I'm like, what's going on? Who am I calling? I I had first ACs that all of a sudden were like, I'm going to become a camera operator, and therefore they couldn't hire me, or DPs that were like, I'm now retiring, and it was just like
Yeah.
I kind of felt like I was not aging out, but falling behind. The people that were going to carry me along were going away, and I wasn't having that connection. And so eventually, I think it was I got a notice from the union saying, "Hey, you're 3 payments behind on paying your dues."
Mm.
And my wife was just like, "We're not paying them unless you're," she goes, "You need to make a choice. Are you going to be a camera assistant or are you going to work for Disney? Pick one." She goes,
Yeah.
"Because I'm not gonna, you know, pay into this that's not hiring you." But in the meantime, I'd gotten full time at Disney, and they were paying my health insurance now, and I needed that health insurance. Um,
Yeah.
and so it was just kind of finally, I was just like, okay, I gotta do this. I'm done. And I pulled that plug, and with I mean, it was within 2 months, all of a sudden I became a new hire trainer. I became we call it a facilitator. I teach people how to be Batuans in Galaxy's Edge, to speak the language, if you will. I got that. Within 6 months, I became a lead in our department. So all of a sudden, I was getting the promotions, and it was definitely that. I think my attitude had changed, where it was like, okay, I'm committing to this, and it showed.
That's so cool. And then you're also
Um,
working at the happiest place on earth where it's, everyone's best day
You
when they're
know,
there.
right? It is. I tell people, if you're not having a good time working there, you're doing it wrong. Because everybody is there to have a good time. Why shouldn't you also?
Right. What does your wife do?
She runs a daycare out of the house.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So there's always, 3 to 4 kids, uh, of between 6 months and 4 years, screaming,
Running
crying.
around.
Uh, yeah, they scream and cry.
I love that she's in the wings, like ready
Yes,
to
yes, jump
Hi,
in on
Chris's
that.
wife.
I mean, and it was tough on her too because she liked the paychecks that I would bring home. She liked that sometimes I'd only work, 5 days in a month, and that was enough, but absolutely hated that uncertainty more
Yeah.
than I hated the uncertainty. Whereas all of a sudden I'm working at a job where not only do I know my schedule, not only do I know what my paycheck is pretty much going to be every week, that we can start planning and start putting money aside,
Yeah.
not only earning vacation, but having to take vacation. It's you need to go on vacation. And I'm like, what? No, that's when no, there's not going to be work. You're going to get paid. Go away. It
Yeah, yeah,
was,
yeah. Getting paid to go on vacation is
yeah. So, I mean, it's been a hard transition, um, to make
Yeah.
this late in my career to, okay, here comes, let's do second career, and let's make it a career, and let's treat it as such, um and go that route.
How do your onset skills translate to your new position?
We are a self-motivated group, right? I don't need to be told what to do at every minute. It's literally go take pictures over there. Great, I got it.
Hmm.
Have somebody bump me in 2 hours for my break. It's I understand what needs to be there. I don't need the supervision. I'm impervious to abuse. There's nothing that a guest can say to me that is going to be remotely close to when I had an assistant 2 inches away from my nose screaming at me at the top of his lungs in front of
Hmm.
30 people.
Right.
That's I'm impervious to it. I don't have a problem making a definitive choice about something because I'm making it with what I feel is the best information at hand. I might be wrong, but I'm going to make that choice rather than what do I do? Help. I don't have that issue. We know how to work smart, not hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so that's fine. I have no problem with chain of command. You know, I can easily kick up. If anything, my problem is there's a lot of leapfrogging of chain of command for who to talk to that people do. And that to me, that's just like, what are you doing? No, go talk to this person. Then they can kick it up. You know, um, I'm very good with sensitive information. Obviously, how many, I mean, it's not that we ever had to sign NDAs, but essentially we always signed NDAs, on our in our start work of not spilling the beans on things. There's all sorts of things that go on at Disney that are, don't go telling people that, stuff.
Right.
Um, I have, I'm so not intimidated by what they call expensive equipment because I'm like, no, you've never walked around with an 11 to 1 in your hand climbing up a hillside that's slippery under your feet.
For those of you who
That's
don't know, an 11 to 1 is a giant lens. It goes from, oh, 12 to 1 is 24
24
to
to
290.
200 or something or 290. Yeah.
290. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a giant lens. It costs more than a house. And it's definitely something that you don't want to break
No, no, and
or
I'm walking
damage.
around with a, prosumer Nikon camera. It's like we we sometimes use tripods, and they're again just, still photography for tripods. And they're like, you have to have a hand on that tripod at all times. And if you're moving, you need to disconnect the camera from it and then walk with it. And I'm like, we used to throw the 11 to 1 over our shoulder mounted to a camera with a full 1,000-foot mag,
Yeah,
60 pounds worth of gear traipsing about. The looming deadlines, that's something that we're really excellent at handling. Um, in the park, we get VIP guests. My department doesn't typically deal with them. Other departments do, but if I ever had to, it's like, no biggie. I mean,
right,
I was with top name directors and talent. They're just
right.
regular people. I know how to deal with them and how to handle them. I did have a Kardashian clan come in to Minnie's house to take photos. And they closed all the doors so that no guest could see it. But it was just like, whatever, I'm still just gonna do my job.
Right, right,
So I think all of that translates, you can translate that into another job. It's just getting the people to pay attention that those skills even exist.
right. Well, that leads me to my next question.
Yeah.
What would you say about film people to employers that are looking for good candidates?
Well, I mean, it basically is all of those things that I just mentioned. But I think if you're trying to sell yourself to people, they could care less about what projects you worked on. They really could.
Right.
That does not mean
Well, this
anything
could
to
also,
them.
we could wrap in the like, what advice would you give to the people who are looking for a career pivot in film?
Yeah, learn to speak resume. I hate the resume speak
Me too.
because it's fluffing up who you actually are so that somebody can go, oh, so you were a camera assistant. You know what I mean? I'll just give you an example of things that, it's maintain professionalism and efficiency in a fast-paced production environment. That's the kind
Well,
of,
stakeholder is a word that you should use often as
what is
well.
it?
Stakeholder.
Stakeholder.
Yeah. That everybody who works in a system is a stakeholder.
Oh, okay.
Hmm.
That you manage a detailed inventory of footage and equipment, coordinating daily with the production office and transportation. I mean, you're putting it in lingo that they can understand and go, oh, well, that will work for, this position, and I understand, how that can function. So it literally took me four complete different drafts just on my camera assisting portion to come up with language that finally somebody that was reviewing my resume went, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because my
Yeah.
first attempt at it was literally, I've worked on these productions, thinking that that had clout, and people would go,
Yeah.
oh,
They don't care.
no, if they worked on that, they must be. No, they don't care. Um, they also want to know team environment. And I mean, come on, film set is completely team
Right.
functional. Uh, Play that up, how much that working. in a team setting, working, it's one giant project and collaborating and dealing with the ups and downs and problem solving quickly because mass amounts of money are on the line based on how soon you can get it completed.
Right.
Um,
How
you
well you
may
work
not,
with other departments.
yeah, you may not be responsible for the budget itself, but you're certainly responsible for your efficiency and being ready and willing to do the work that's necessary.
Is there anything you miss about set?
Yeah. Uh,
What do you miss?
the free food, 100% miss the free food.
There's no craft services at Disney?
No, not even remotely. Oh, we get water. Um,
Yay.
Yay. I miss the ginormous paychecks. I miss being around that creative environment, that specific creative environment. Fortunately, in my department with photography, I'm still around creative people, but I liked seeing how the sausage gets made. I loved seeing that decision processes or the, hey, this isn't working. How are we going to make it work? And just those creative solutions just firing really quickly. I loved
Hmm.
seeing how that happened. Um, Again, I loved going to those locations that were just bizarre and, you know, sure, we were in the bowels of, the underbelly of a building that was really gross, but there were some cool things down there. Or I remember going to I don't even know if it's still standing, the Herald Examiner building, and that was owned by Hearst. And we filmed in this private apartment that was on top of the whole thing that Hearst would stay in. And he had these little listening speaker pipes that apparently went and hovered over the various bullpens so he could hear the conversations that those
Oh,
bullpens were having.
whoa.
I mean, it was just like, what? This is
That's
cool.
crazy.
Yeah, so I really missed that kind of stuff. I miss seeing my name in credits. That always gave me a thrill. I also miss, again, the actor at heart never left. I loved watching actors practice their craft and see how they got where they got.
Hmm.
That was always a thrill to me. Um, I'm bummed that I'm never going to get to work with Keanu Reeves because I hear he's wonderful and
Yeah,
I
he's
always
on
wanted
my
that.
list.
I used to say that I looked forward to the day that I regretted working with James Cameron. Um,
You know, I did get to work with him. I
did you?
worked on just like a day. Um they opened the Titanic exhibit at the
Oh, okay.
Ronald Reagan Library.
Okay.
And so we basically had him for like an hour and like walked around and he talked about the stuff, but he didn't let the director direct. He was directing. It was like a documentary. But it was fun. Anything else that you wanted to add?
Those are what I miss.
Okay.
I don't miss the commute. I
Uh-huh.
don't miss the hours.
Yeah.
God, do I not miss the hours.
Unpredictability.
I don't miss, I'm so much happier now. And it's not that I necessarily feel happier, but it's other people notice it. My wife
Well,
has noticed it for sure. That I'm not irritable and I'm awake and
yeah.
um, uh, I'm so much more relaxed. I'm not carrying that stress around with me.
Well, that's my last question. What is your life like now? How is it different?
The quality of life is definitely better. Uh, I only work an 8 hour day. They hate paying overtime. They don't want you there longer. Now and then they'll be like, "We have to have you," and it's maximum 10 hours. That they'll have you there for. Um, the ability to actually budget and plan for something. Again, that we can plan for a vacation if we wanted to. Still don't have enough money for the vacation, but I can plan for one at least.
Hmm.
Um, that feeling that very much that I'm valued and respected and appreciated. And it's not just from, my managers. Again, it's from the guests. I get so many guest compliments, um, to your face, happy that you're there. Thank you for, showing me this. And, little kids just seeing their smiles light up because of something
Mhm.
you did. You can't beat that. It just fills your soul. So that's great. I know that I'm very good at what I'm doing now, but it's also not all consuming. And again, I think that just comes to that the feast or famine nature of things. That it's not work 5 days a week, spend the weekend recovering so that you can work 5 days a week again. Um, there's also, I know that my voice was a problem on set. The number of times I got told, Chris, shut up, bring down the tone. I know that was an issue. Um, in a theme park with, 50,000 people around you, it's a good thing. I can cut right through all that. So that's also paid off in ways. Um,
Did you get in trouble for chatting on set like I do?
mhm. Yeah, yeah, because I'm not aware of how loud I started getting. Um, and there were certain sets where they were jovial. I always enjoyed working on comedy set because they didn't mind, you know, when you weren't disturbing anything.
Lovingly getting in trouble.
Yes, yes,
It's hard to not chat with people
right.
on set. Um, is there anything else you wanted to add? Any questions that I didn't ask, or any like tidbits or advice you want to impart before we say goodbye?
Well, I know you've asked other people. I think it's obvious. Would I ever go back? No, not as an AC. That there's even a position at Disneyland where they do filming for various projects. They have their own production team, and even that, I'm like, I don't think I want to do that. I wouldn't want to go in that direction.
That's funny. I
Um,
wasn't even going to ask you that question because I knew the answer,
yeah,
but I guess it's a
yeah.
good a good thing to
Um,
continue to ask people.
Going visiting a set, yes, I'd be happy to do that. But I'm going and day playing on a set, nope, wouldn't do it. And going back to it full time, well, I know so much back money and to the union that it wouldn't be economical either.
Awesome, Chris. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Absolutely, that's
I'm
fun.
so happy to hear about what you're up to and
No, and it's
uh
fascinating. I'm listening to the other episodes and hearing other departments' views and seeing how many of them are exactly me nodding my head, listening to it. Yep, yep, no, I hear exactly what you're saying,
yeah.
and doing that. So, I know that you're teetering on that fence of should you stay or should you go, and
Well, apparently also getting myself into a little bit of not trouble, but apparently people are either assuming that I have
gone.
left
Uh-huh.
or not considering me because I'm thinking of leaving or because I'm doing this podcast.
Right, and
So,
that's the craziest part. It's like
um
God forbid that you get a side hustle. As if
yeah,
it's like you're cheating on the industry, and the people that are in it. And I don't know if that's because they themselves might also be having thoughts and they don't want to be tempted. I don't know. It's
I do have a friend he said he's been afraid to listen because he is tempted.
yeah, yeah.
Which is fine. I mean, whatever.
I
Like you said, the industry might be retiring me before I'm
yeah, and I mean,
ready.
know this. It's not necessarily that you have to have a plan. Just know what you're willing to accept. You're not going to get a job that's going to pay the same hourly that we get paid.
Right.
You're just not. It's not going to happen. So you need to be willing to figure that. I actually had to look at my tax returns and go, this is how much I was earning as an AC, not working full time on a show, versus this is what I'm getting paid hourly, and I'm going to be working full time for the whole year. And then I was like, oh, they're actually going to be almost equal.
Hmm.
Um, I mean, hey, if you're wildly successful and working, full time on a TV show, yeah, the pay's going to be good luck replacing that. But if you're a day player, you will be able to. You just got to be willing to again back off from that prestige that you think it is, accept a lower pay rate, but knowing that it's actually going to probably balance out in the end. But mostly look for some place that you can grow, that has that opportunity to get upward. Um, because if you're accepting a job that is the cap, or maybe there's one level above it, yeah, that's not going to be a career for you.
Right.
Um, so
That's great advice. That's great. Yeah. Thank you so much. Thanks for taking the time.
absolutely.
Appreciate you. All right. Company Move is produced by me, Rennie Pollock, and is produced and edited by Robin Lavecchio. Special thanks to Selena Persiani-Shell for designing our graphics. Our theme music was written by Cliff Beach and performed by Cliff Beach and Alex Nestor. You can follow Cliff on Spotify or check out his website at cliffbeachmusic.com. Our interstitial music was composed and performed by Gabe Rosen. Do you have questions, suggestions, or want to be a guest? You can email us at companymovepod@gmail.com. We're moving away from Meta, so no more Insta, but follow us on Blue Sky by searching for at Company Move Pod. Follow and rate us on whatever platform you listen to us on, and if you like us, please leave us a review. It helps for listeners to find us. That's a wrap for this week. Thanks for listening. Come on back next week for a new episode of The Company Move.